एंड आप सभी को सुष्मिता का प्यार भरा नमस्ते। वेलकम बैक टू आवर न्यू एपिसोड ऑन द टॉपिक नाउन। Before we start our class, as usual, we will be having a quick revision or a quick recap of whatever we have been studying. As of now, in the topic noun, we have studied about types of nouns, right? So basically, first, if we talk, a noun is nothing but these are words which will represent people, places, things or animals, right? So types of nouns is a different topic. Please do not get confused with when I talk about the topic of today's class, which is countable and uncountable noun. They are not types of noun. Basically, they are just defining the noun based on numbers. We also did a class on singular and plural nouns, right? So you understood there that whenever there is a thing or a noun which is just one, it's in its singular form, correct? And when it is more than one, it is in its plural form. For example, I mean, you must remember, right? The examples that we discussed were many, but with pens and pencils we discussed, right? So one pen, many pens, or maybe two pens, one pencil, three pencils, right? We discussed this. What was that telling? It was just telling you that nouns, they are countable if it is in one. If it just is one, it is in singular form, and if it is a more than one, it is in its plural form. So based on that concept, we have another, categorization where we talk about countable nouns and uncountable nouns. I am sure when you hear the word countable and you hear the word uncountable, you have already, you must be feeling, oh, I got it. Countable nouns and nouns, basically, which can be counted, है ना, जिसको हम count कर सकते हैं. अगर आप अपने आसपास, अपनी नजरें दौड़ाएं, if you look around you, you will see so many things which can be counted. Counted as in it can exist in its singular form and plural form as well, right? Because that's talking about its number. If I am seeing here, I can see there is a chair, there is a table, there is a pen, there is a pencil, there is a desk, there is a fan, there is a board, there is a toy. So we can see so many things around which is existing in its singular and its plural form. Correct? So the nouns which can be counted, जिनको हम count कर सकते हैं, उनको हम countable nouns कहते हैं. Uncountable noun basically is a kind of mass noun. Okay? Mass noun as in वो एक साथ है, वो as a whole है. For example, water. Okay? Mass noun is a quantity which is impossible to count. आप उसको count नहीं कर सकते. For example, water. Okay? For example, cheese. Okay? For example, butter. For example, oil. For example, juice. We cannot count it, right? Like if there's a glass of juice, yes, we are counting the glass. But I'm talking about the quantity of juice which is present inside it. See, measuring is something different. You might feel, oh ma'am, there's a 250 ml of juice present in a glass. I am not talking in terms of measurement. I am talking in terms of number, like quantities. Like this is one, I can count this. This is one, I can count it. If I have two, like see, if I hold this, I have two markers. So it has got distinct units which I am able to count, right? इस एक को हम unit कहते हैं, ये एक और है. So these are two units which is making it 2, correct? So now if we discuss about uncountable nouns are those nouns which are mass nouns, which means they are as a whole, which we cannot basically count them. These will also include names of some feelings, okay? Feelings, we cannot touch them. So remember one new word today, it's called tangible or intangible, right? We need to increase our vocabulary as well, है ना? So आप जब किसी चीज को touch कर सकते हो, like I can touch this board, I can touch this pen, I have a marker, I can touch the things around me. So उनको हम tangible things कहते हैं, और जिसको हम touch नहीं कर सकते, for example feelings और for example emotions, उनको हम intangible कहते हैं. ठीक है? So those will also fall under the category of uncountable nouns. Okay? So if we need to differentiate between countable and uncountable nouns, countable nouns can be expressed in numbers. Okay? Countable nouns can be expressed in numbers like 1, 2, 3 and so on. Whereas uncountable nouns, they cannot be expressed in numbers. Okay? They cannot be expressed in numbers. When we talk about another difference, countable nouns will always have a singular and a plural form. For example, my favorite example I think is pen and pens and pencil and pencils, right? Pencils and pencil. Pencil is singular. So a countable noun will always have a singular form and a plural form. Okay? But uncountable noun, they usually do not have a plural form. Uncountable nouns will not usually have they don't usually have a plural form. Alright. So based on this, let's discuss few examples. Okay. A countable noun as in I told you things around you. Uncountable noun as in things which is existing as whole. For example, luggage, furniture. You remember we did this in our singular and plural class as well. Air. We cannot say airs. Okay, we cannot say milks. Milks, it doesn't exist, right? There is no word called waters. Water and water. There is no word called waters. Okay, so to understand that concept a little more, we will do some examples. But before that, see, there will also be certain words which we cannot count, but they will have their plural and singular form. For example, the easiest example that I can give you is star. Okay? Sorry, star. Okay? What is the plural form of star? It is stars. Okay, so now this is the singular form, this is the plural form. Correct? So now you will tell me, so ma'am, stars can be counted. Now listen to this. Have we ever said there are 9 crore 55 lakhs 10,000 some with some numerical digits, we have so many stars in the sky? We usually say there are millions and millions and millions of stars in the sky. That's how we talk about it, right? So in that case, there are 2 more new words that we will be doing. They are called quantifiers, which they help us to quantify. It tells us about the quantity, correct? Will be much and many. So this is present in plural form, but this is uncountable. You cannot count the number of stars which is present in the sky or in our galaxy. Can we do that? We cannot do that. So how do we make a sentence then? There are many stars in the sky. That's how we talk about. Correct? So let us take some examples and try to understand this question, the concept of many and more. Sorry, I said many and more, but it is much and many. Okay, so the concept of much and many also you have to understand. We use much when the noun is uncountable, and we use many when the noun is countable. हम इसको count कर सकते हैं. Ma'am has written 5 examples for you. Let us discuss that. The first one reads, there is 2 dash water in the bathtub. There is 2 dash water in the bathtub. Now look at this noun. It's placed before the noun, right? Water. Water is uncountable. I am not talking about a glass of water. I am talking about water as a whole. So in the bathtub, there is a lot of water. So what will be the answer for this? There is too much water in the bathtub. Next is, how dash cousins do you have? Please think in your mind. Okay, let me also think. So I have, okay, so I'm able to count it, right? See, I counted. So when you're able to count it, it straight says that many. Now, of course, it can be numbers also, but because we are discussing about much and many, so here cousins will be countable. So, how many cousins do you have? Okay, so again see, the same thing is being repeated. How many cousins do you have? What kind of sentence is it? It is an interrogative sentence. It ended with a question mark, right? The next one, I put dash sugar in the tea. I put 2 dash sugar in the tea. So here we are talking about sugar. Ma'am has not written about a cube, or ma'am has not a cube of sugar, or ma'am has not written about spoonfuls of sugar or spoon or a tablespoon of sugar. Ma'am is talking about sugar. Sugar is not countable. You cannot just sit and keep on counting the cubes of sugar for that matter. So in that case, I put too much sugar in the tea. Okay. Next, how dash chairs do we need? Question mark. So it's a question. Chair. Chair is countable. We can count the number of chairs. So we say, how many chairs do we need? Alright. The next one, Mr. Sharma doesn't have dash hair on his head. Please, any Mr. Sharma watching this, do not take it personally, okay? It's just a statement. So Mr. Sharma doesn't have dash hair on his head. Now hair, can you count it? Hair will always be in its plural form, right? So I'm not sitting and like counting this, okay? So hair, it is not going to be many hair, it's going to be much hair on his head. So the concept of much and many along with countable and uncountable noun is what we practice. Let us see a few more examples and then probably you will get the clarity. See, in English, when you are doing sentences or when you are, finding out like any exercise that you are doing for English, be it on any topic, you basically need to understand what the sentence is trying to tell. It is the essence of the statement which you really need to understand. So if I say, I like to eat cheese. In this case, cheese here is uncountable. You see, okay? Uncountable. But when I say, I had 2 slices of cheese. Do you like having cheese? Okay, so even I said that I had 2 slices of cheese. So when I am mentioning here 2 slices, in that case it is becoming what? A countable noun. Okay. So if you there's a guest in your house and you ask, would you like to have tea or coffee? Okay. So tea or coffee, the beverage in its liquid form, here it will be in its uncountable form. Okay. But would you like to have a cup of coffee? Or maybe would you like to have a cup of tea? Here when you are mentioning a cup of tea, so that becomes a countable noun in that case. So basically a cup, okay, it's not just the tea. Tea or coffee or cheese or water or oil or vinegar or honey for that matter in its liquid form, they are all basically uncountable noun. Rice, sand, gold, luggage, they're all uncountable. I'm not talking about suitcases, I'm talking about luggage as a whole. Okay, so this is the concept of much and many. In correspondence to what we studied is countable and uncountable noun. We will also be doing a topic quantifiers, wherein we will read it or learn it in details, okay, about some other words which will quantify a noun or will put the noun or distribute the noun as countable or uncountable. This was the end of the class for today, and we will meet you in our next class. But before that, please do not forget to subscribe our channel and share it with friends and families. Thank you so much.